they can try and fish for. But I'm really excited to see the tempo. I think when you talk about it the most, it's a big contrast to last series where it seems like everything was much more structured. We are expecting a wild rodeo in this first game. Twisted Fate is going to add 2 component anvils to the mix, allowing reroll players to hit their bits a little bit easier. 4 cosplayers as well, when hunting for those perfect karma items, will also have a chance to find them earlier into the game.
Yep, we've seen this encounter many times throughout the tournament already. It always serves more into a quick tempo, very, very contested stage 2 and stage 3 so far that we've seen in our games. Now taking a look at the players here, Achan, he is known as the most handsome player out of the TOC, so this is a chance to get your gaze upon his visage.
Is that a common opinion, or is that a...
That's a very common opinion.
General
he
opinion.
is married though, so
I see. Our fans are weeping. Looking at the rest of the players, though, I mean, we have to single out Shunga, I think, as was mentioned, the Dragonlance champion in the Tactician's Crown a few sets ago now at this point, almost halfway down the history of TFT when it comes to competition. And Flancy as well, someone that is just historically been one of those players that if you ask anyone that's even slightly a fan of esports in TFT, they know the name Flancy from CN. He's kind of one of those names like Double 61, like Volta, that has been around for so long and has been showcasing such dominant peaks when it comes to individual TFT.
The veterancy really is there for Twisted Mind. Going back a little bit for Flancy, the player on our screen right now, he is the revolutionizer in terms of using stats when it comes to the CN region. So he had his best individual showing in Monsters Attack, which was exactly when big data was coming online. He was the first to kind of jump on that ship and prove everyone wrong. CN used to be the dynasty. They thought stats was because they don't have stats of their own CN region. They didn't really believe in stats. Flancy was the first adopter, and he's proven again and again through his individual performance that was indeed the correct route for the region.
And then America's, they definitely use a lot of stats in their reign of terror, but no more augment stats in TFT. Players have to rely a bit more on intuition, which I think a lot of top players do enjoy more because of how creative they can get and how good their understanding is in terms of critical thinking and really piecing together all the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to the start of a set and quickly identifying the most broken combos, the strongest ways to play certain lines, the best ways to lean into a line where you're playing from high tempo.
We're talking about intuitive players. K-Bao and Ironbog are definitely both in that category. They definitely, we definitely use stat work. They usually leave it to the coaches to kind of figure them out, but the way they like to play is they're completely flexed until level 8. And I've always thought that was actually a bit of a weakness when it comes to 4v4. It's harder to optimize your items early on. It's harder for your teammates to know how to play around you.
Looking at Rising Chaos for Flancy, 2 Cinders as well. This is one of the strongest ways to play into the Prodigy line, sometimes even into just the Sork line, depending on what your augments are, where your line is going, where your teammate spots are as well. But as a 1-cost item carrier in Stage 2, this is one of the premium combinations to be made aware of.
If you have a good front line, you can just keep on stacking damage. It's 6% extra damage. After every cast, you get additional orbs. It procs really good with things like Blighting Jewel as well. So you will see a lot of players going into this start and then playing towards the AP Fast 8s.
No Vi being held there. It goes to show the cash out trait not really as enticing in 4v4 or maybe in the set as a whole, considering in the past, if you had one Crystal Gambit unit, you'd almost always buy a second in your shop to try and play for it.
And we're going to have Ironbog already starting with the Caretakers. YYDM is the team's designated reroller. So 2 very high tempo options straight off the bat. And as we were talking about, this is additional component encounter. So it's much easier to get those 3-cost carries online and just punch through everyone.
Beggars Can Be Choosers was a consideration for Flancy for a little while. Of course, when we're talking about understanding the really strong augments, having so many more roles to fish for, that perfect augment to fit your game plan is valuable, especially for players as skilled as this. But we are looking at YYDM with a Gangplank 2 on Stage 2. Not game-winning, but an incredibly dominant start that's going to apply a lot of pressure onto every other player in this lobby.
So he hit 2 Gangplanks, and I think he used Team Builder immediately to get in that 2-star. You know, definitely worthwhile to sink a little bit into that augment straight off the bat, and he's going to go for the full win streak. This also allows him to pivot to the all-out composition as well, so he's still staying rather flexible here. And actually, he still has 2 duplicators. That might be a delay, sorry. So I'm pretty sure he used at least 1.
One interesting consideration is one of the saving graces of this Twisted Fate encounter where you get 2 component anvils is the fact that if you're in a spot like this one where you can play for tempo Gangplank and farm infinite gold by having a 2-star Gangplank in stage 2, the one downside is you don't have priority on Carousel to pick up your bows for a Rage Blade, for a Kraken's Fury. In this case, he didn't prio looking for bows from his component anvils, which means he might have a problem. For now, i.e. Striker's Flow will be very strong, of course, but if he does win streak, if he wins every fight in stage 2, I assume Twisted Minds will completely lock him out of finding any bows from carousels, and he might not end up on that best in slot, stretchy arms Gangplank build with so many bows.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting thing to see. You could play around that as a team. Maybe some of them can try to deny items on the carousel if you have loose streakers. Or the other thing that I kind of think is a possibility is just for him to simply play into all out. He has the perfect items for it starting off. Looking across the board here, Chen is most likely going into the crew build, already has all of those units on board, and I had a glimpse of a very interesting augment being selected here. Ahau going into the Unstable Evolution. Ooh, we haven't really seen this one work out so far in the tournament.
An Unstable Evolution, correct me if I'm wrong, gives you different stats every time you start up a unit, and it gives you kind of, if you're starting up a lot of units, obviously that's going to be a lot of insane power coming to your stats, but you can't really tailor or pick exactly what you're going to be getting. So you do have to pick carries that can make use of many different types of stats, not just, you know, AP or AD or attack speed.
It's just really interesting to me because we haven't seen one-cost rerolls actually take off in this meta whatsoever. Kale was probably the front runner in that category. Average is still about at like a 6.8, which is not something we want to look for. Very curious to see where that goes. For Ironbog, it does look like this is going to be a Caretakers into a Vi 3, so he's already setting himself up. We have seen Juggernaut frontline just be incredibly flexible in terms of comps and in terms of tempo.
We haven't seen much Kai'Sa reroll today. Maybe this is the game to play for it. Obviously, you have to have an early Kai'Sa and hopefully have some items stacked onto her so she can scale. If she doesn't scale appropriately in stage 2 and 3, you can kind of tell how far she will be scaling in stage 4. You can give up on her, go from the more traditional Mundo with the Jhin and the Gnar.
There is also this line where it's possible to get Knuckle Dusters on 3-2. That would be kind of broken if it does happen. I know you've been a huge fan of that augment.
I have been rewarded on ladder on my own climb with the Knuckle Dusters Vi. It just feels very strong from a snowball position. It kind of works similarly to GP, but instead of just getting gold, you're able to get additional loot, and that just continues snowballing your game more and more. You can play into kind of an Ashe duelist back then as well, so I think it's a very interesting line. We'll see if that'll be a possibility for Ironbog in this game number 1.
And we're finally getting a look at all the boards across the table right here. Xunge already starting off with the Gwinsus here, so he's most likely going to be the player contesting on the GP line against YYDM here. A very strong start for YYDM, still 100 HP. Finds the Udyr as well for actually 3 traits to put on his board. The best find he could possibly get.
Really, really insane setup here. Has the Lux online as well, has the Lucian, so some extra damage off of the Sork on Lucian as a secondary damage leader just in case. We saw a good for something for Kebabao, so playing more of the Econ, fast 8 line into Sorks or into Prodigies. And that's a game plan that we have seen many players find success with in the case of someone like Salvi, for example, but it is the risky game plan where you are going down and you're at the mercy of your roll down when it comes to stage 4.
Oh, talking about having mercy on roll downs, Flancy just hit a Yuumi on level 5, so, you know, I think he has his path set quite ahead, and is that a Jarvan? He has some pretty sick units right now.
The Yuumi especially is going to be very, very impactful in terms of having just way more of your vertical Prodigy while still having the 3 Battle Academy online onto your board. And just, yeah, the early direction, it's going to be so easy to play into that Yuumi now.
We thought Flancy's board was ridiculous.
A Karma as well. Oh my goodness.
He's getting this full set, the Jarvan and Karma in the same composition.
This is the value of Silver Spoon. You're reaching your 2% chance to find a 4 cost a little bit earlier in the game.
And he's playing the Mundo 2, which I believe is correct for if he wants a full win streak.
Jarvan is more of an off tank. So when you are looking at very low DPS and just one sturdy tank to rule them all, Mundo is usually the answer when it comes to stage 2. We'll see if he can hang up against this crit build on GP. The stun comes through. Gangplank is getting kind of low. The Senna damage is coming in, or the Kalista damage rather, but I think Gangplank is definitely going to clean up here. So much gold being farmed as well.
Yeah, I think even though Haruru did lose the win streak, Flash Wolves can't be too sad about that one. They farmed the extra gold, and I was looking at the shop items, and I don't know how, but we still have 2 unused duplicators from Wild.
So he just hit a natural Gangplank, it must have been.
Yeah.
He must have had 2. He picked a team builder with the idea of, oh, perfect, I'm going to have a great tempo option here, and he hit the next 3rd natural Gangplank in that same 2-1 shop.
Wow.
So maybe that changes the way he picks his augments, because the big value of Team Builder in that situation would have been to immediately get the Gangplank 2, but he got it anyway. And now he has kind of 2 dead duplicators on bench for all of stage 2 and 3, but he has a Gangplank 2, so I think that kind of lets him wipe away his tears.
Yeah, that's actually pretty crazy of a start, and I wonder how Shunga is going to play around that, because we did see him have the components for the Guinsus. He's the most likely player to have to contest. We know in this meta you can't allow the GPs to play solo. That's just too big of a risk for a win-out player emerging on the opponent team. So how do you play when you're so far behind in copies? That's going to be a very interesting solve for Twisted Minds.
The Syndra 2 has been found for Kebaba. I think he's definitely gearing up to play into Yuumi. Of course, with one Yuumi already being out of the pool, a little bit sad, but we have Haruru already with an early Karma, which I think gives him the direction and the prio on playing Sorks.
Absolutely. He probably does have to avoid his teammate and also avoid what Flancy has hit already. Achen here, we're wondering if he's going to go for his roll down. If you want to play the crew, this is when you would want to do it. And he's keeping himself rather flexible. He's willing to go to level 5 on high experience.
Is there any consideration for Gangplank? I mean, don't you just buy the second one and then see what your next natural shop is, just in case you have 2 more Gangplanks and you just full pivot? You must,
you have
no?
to, right?
You must.
Yeah. I totally agree with that call. Achen, come on, sell something on your board.
You can sell a Kaisa, or maybe he's keeping Kaisa as that plan B option, but no,
he
gives up on the Gangplank, does not want to keep himself open to that potential high roll, or just a potential augment that really leads into it. What if he gets Teacher's Council, for example?
Well, that's possible. I also think it's probably indicates that Shunga is going to be the designated GP player on the other side of the team, so he's not trying to prove himself. Silver Destiny, any Rebanov fans out there?
We have had some big low rolls. Have players learned from these teachings? It's going to be keepers for Shunga, and Shunga is not on GP. He is going to be rolling for either Kaisa, it looks like, or for Jin. He has prep, so I think the front line is clear. Going to be playing for Mundo, but his backline still keeping a few options open, just in case he hits some high roll shops.
And that does mean that Ahao A might be the one that has to play the GP. I would be very, very surprised if Twisted Mind just decides to not play GP. To be fair, we have seen this happen in previous games. Sometimes it can be a trap to over-roll for the GP, but at least in my meta understanding, I'm not willing to do that.
It looks like Ironbog will be the Kaisa reroll player for Flash Wolves, which is why we're seeing so many Kaisas being held both on Chunga's board and on Achen's board.
Oh, the Kaisa board is very interesting. So far, we have Aegis that have been successful on the composition, but everyone else sometimes falters around. We have seen it spike really hard if you manage to find the Supreme Cell emblem and just get it onto the Al comp. You kind of bridge those 2 compositions together. That might be a possible out. But so far in the tournament, outside of very specific conditions, not the strongest comp we've seen.
I believe for Haruru, we might have seen a Recombobulator. We have. And for good reason. We had 4 costs already on the board. We have found a Juggernaut in Lee Sin to add to this board. Did he sell the Karma? Considering he looked like he had more of an AD path off of his item components at Krugs. And he would have been able to maybe potentially recombobulate 2 4 costs into 2 5 costs, but it seems like it's only 1 here.
Yeah, this has to feel so bad for Shunga because Shunga actually took rolling for days and he didn't hit the Jin 2. Now this player just recombobbed his Callisto straight into the Jin 2 here. So sorry, it wasn't rolling for days, but you know he rolled very, very deep down to below 10 gold and not finding the carry while someone else has just gifted it.
And Ahao seems to be locked into Katarina, so overall a lot of reroll in this lobby. Even a player who was given a Jarvan and an early Karma that we thought would maybe go into Sorks has instead pivoted into this AD reroll, which has really, I think, been the big evolution this tournament in terms of Stage 3. A lot more teams are identifying, hey, who is the key path, the key way to preserve HP in Stage 3? It's usually Mundo, and they're starting to play a lot more Jin reroll, a lot more Kaisa reroll as well.
I think this is what Twisted Mind had to take away from their shellacking against Citadel yesterday because they lost to a lot of Mundo boards that stabilized from Dank Memes into Soul Fighters, into Legendaries. It was a shocking lesson for them. And take a look at YYDM, he's now up to 3 duplicators. So that might be one of the reasons why we see Twisted Minds just completely forego the GP contest.
Any GP players? There's a Rise with a bow, but I don't know if there are any GP players left in this lobby, weirdly enough.
Is this the lowest amount of GPs?
I mean, YYDM is still carrying GP, but I'm not sure if he's going to stick to GP in this consideration.
Oh, come on. If it's open GP, you have to play it,
He
right?
must have, right?
Yeah. It's probably in his contract, so.
And it is being held, so I mean, someone is playing it for sure on Flash Wolves.
Yeah, Acha not going to let that run away. He is committed to the crew at this point, and this is kind of interesting. We have seen some players decide not to roll too deep on level 4, and the theory is being that you actually want maximum amount of gold into this composition just to hit two of your crew units to 3-star as soon as possible.
You can also, I think, hit more of the 2 cost, a little bit more likely when you're playing the crew, and you end up becoming the ultimate griefer. You have so many rolls every turn for free as well. You have, maybe if you have the bench space, you can start holding a lot of the GPs, a lot of the Kaisas, the Jins, the Mundos, deny from the opposing team.
All right, and taking a look right here, he's 2 GPs off of just getting GP3. Has been able to find at least 1 bow item. That was one of the big things that we were kind of worried about for his composition. And he's also doing a very good deny on Ahawe's board, 5 Katarinas onto the bench.
And also a perfect crit build for the future Yasuo as well, with IE, Strikers, and Hodge. So if he's able to find the Rage Blade, he's going to have best in-slot items for Yasuo and for Gangplank. What a win here, the Kale just barely surviving on her Ascended version on level 6.
Yeah, just 1 extra hit would have been enough to break that 8 win streak. And now he gets a second power-up and a rejuice again.
He must roll here, no, for the GP3, considering he is on a 9 win streak. You want to really get this extra win streak gold. You want to continue preserving HP here. Unless he has only his teammates in his pool, then maybe considers that he can beat it out.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only reason you don't just hunt for the GP3 at this point. He's already found the Rise as well on level 6, so quite a considerable high roll from YYDM. And this is what we've seen all tournament. There usually is that one player that just somehow is very far ahead in the GP counts, and the other team has to play around that. It's incredibly difficult, and if I'm being fair, it's very rare to see teams overcome it.
Opts not to roll for it, ends up only being a 2-star Gangplank. Does he get punished? Does he lose the win streak is the big question. He is facing someone from Flash Wolves as well, so maybe just wants to deal less damage. It looks like it will still be a win regardless up against this Kaisa board from Ironbog. So great strategy for now from YYDM.
On the flip side though, even though it's good to have streaks, maybe K-Balbo's streaks is a little too much. 26 HP, 10 loss streak going all the way up. We're gonna have to see where he's gonna land in this composition.
A lot of gold to work with though. We're already level 8, 30 gold, rolling here, gonna get a bit of a rejuice also from the creep round. There's the first of the karmas.
Oh, finds one. Okay, so this is probably why we saw Haruru being willing to recombobulate his Jarvan and Karma. It's very rare to find players that are willing to move off of the perfect Sork spot, but K-Balbal, they want to save that spot for him. They know a full loss streaker. The best comp to go into we've seen so far in this tournament has been that Sorks.
We'll see the last bit of the roll down for K-Balbal. We'll see if he hits the Karma. 2 is going to be the big stabilization point alongside maybe some extra frontline for Flancy. Also rolling on 8 for the same exact board. Not a single copy of Karma has been found yet.
2.
Just as K-Balbal upgrades his own Karma to 2 stars. So a big disparity in HP between these players, yes, but also in current board strength with K-Balbal finding his key upgrade.
Oh, and these are those pivoted moments.
The front line is very weak though for K-Balbal. I'm a bit scared because you can have all the damage you want, that if you don't have just a little bit of time to buy for the Karma to burst the enemy board, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, I wish he really would send that Rise into the front line. Usually what happens in the composition, he does have strategists from Jarvan as well, so just get that extra 300 shielding onto the map.
This Karma walk-up is a bit dangerous potentially if the Jhin is able to kill this Jarvan and then target onto the Karma, but it looks like Mundo will be dying here before the Jhin can fully clear the Karma, and it will be a necessary stabilization for K-Balbal, ends the 10 loss streak.
And Achen is continuing to free fall here, already on a 2 loss streak, down to 29 HP. Oh, invested. This could be Prismatics. There's a lot of things that could save these players. We're thinking about things like max cap, like invested coming in.
I saw the call to chaos, and I'm thinking about only one thing, Clemens. Sniper's focus cash outs.
That is the save. You get a 10% chance to hit triple snipers, and if you do get that, find a Gwen, you're pretty much locked in.
Or Yasuo. We saw it pop off. I think it was exactly YYDM that was sporting it to great results yesterday.
True, I honestly think that interaction's a little bit too easy. You always remember, it's only a 10% chance, even if you take the call to chaos, but you remember every time it happens to you.
There's a Gangplank 3 from YYDM. Is this going to be a Mr. 100 game? I think no, because in 4v4, if you have so much HP, you want to use it as a resource. You want to sack for your teammates especially. But what a dominant start to this series, really, with YYDM and his 100 HP right now.
We're going to get the answer to what Flancy picks up here. It is going to be a Sork +1 emblem. I usually am not a huge fan of the emblems this late, but it is very good on Jarvan. He has a great AP ratio. Still not going to stabilize him.
There's GP clearing out the board. And we're seeing some pretty big disparities in the HP brackets. Looking at the augments on that left-hand side, we're seeing a few Radiant Refractors, especially Bronze for Life for Haruru as well.
This was the save I was talking about. 2 max caps coming in for Twisted Minds. They were already bleeding a lot of HP despite playing 2-cost reroll compositions, and I was like, what would be the save for 4-2 Prismatics? And they did find the answer to it. So let's see if they can hit those Katarina 3s despite how hard they've been denied. Oh, does have 3 crew in. 3 crew is usually the most important breakpoint because it is when you do get the orbital ship online.
One off the Rakan here as well. Yuumi pair, Leona 2 already as well, on level 6. So, I mean, all that gold has come into good use. We don't have quite best in slot items just yet on the Katarina, but it should be strong enough to get a lot of wins across this next stage. We're seeing a Volibear setup here from Haruru on the opposing side.
59 HP. This looks like he's going to be in a brawler position. You don't really expect this composition to carry through into a first place, but you already have win-out players. K-Balbal, YYDM, very strong win-out, so he's just playing to preserve and maybe get a top 4. Great save for Ahawe, though. I was looking at the deny on YYDM. High as HP, 12 win streak. If you have a lobby leader holding all of those Katarinas, you usually cannot get them back.
Yep. Spatula on the stage for Carousel. A few key 5-costs as well. Seraphine for the Prodigy players and Braum here as well, just to fit in, especially if you're in a position to go 9 and you have that slot open in the Sork board.
Yeah, a bit of a miss for Achin. He really wanted to get that Twisted Fate. That would have been a best find in the 5-cost territory. Doesn't get one here. And meanwhile, looking at K-Balbal, he already has a Radiant item for 4-2, so despite that 10 loss streak early on, he is in a very strong position to carry through as a win-out.
Planty does seem to have almost fully stabilized. Very strong front line with the Sork Jarvan with this fully itemized Swain. No Gwen high rolls, that's the big question still. And obviously missing that Karma upgrade as well.
Yeah, he does have a lot of HP.
There's the Gwen.
With.
You have a gold Regis from selling the Ahri. If you want to sell the Ahri here, I think you have to, right? At this point in time.
No, there is Ahri too. Yeah, I'd sell it.
There is more burst damage if you're trying to take down a main tank and have the chain from Karma come through, especially with Gwen has no items, right? It's the big thing. All the items are in Swain for now, secondary sets. But overall, I think Gwen is Gwen, so.
Okay, taking a look at YYDM here, he might be losing his Mr. 100 streak. Fun fact, he's actually the only player in TAC rounds to have won a game at 100 HP. He did so at set 12 with the hero augments. It was not that fun, to be honest, because it was an artifact into Lilia. Yeah, pretty crazy. And is going to sack for his teammates, I believe. It would be tragic if he removed and still won. I think he won.
There is some delay on the HUD, but that's the 13 win streak for now for YYDM. Shunga also being taken down by his own teammate, by Ahau.
Oh, okay, never mind. It was a delay. You're right, you're right.
It was a loss there. 86 HP now still, though. So much HP preservation having been done for his team off of the early GP. K-Balbal as well, the player we always talk about. If K-Balbal is able to stabilize and then take over, he can then become a very important part of the team as well. Ziggs 3 has been found for Odd10, where when he needed it most, right? He's currently sitting at 8 HP on his last line, potentially.
He also got the 1% Twisted Fate in the previous shop, so that's a pretty big find. A great roll down for him. This might be the journey for the comeback, but it has to happen now at 8 HP.
Xungga did not weaken his board, it looked like. Full items on Mundo and on Jin. They're fully prepped. Not Mundo 3 just yet. Is this crew board strong enough to beat this?
I think it should be, with the additional true damage coming in with Twisted Fate. 4-6 Twisted Fate, and relative.
The Radiant Crown Guard. Getting the AP ratio on the heal. The Jin is healing the Mundo as well, but it looks like he is finally going to be going down to all the ship damage coming through, and it will be a win and a survival for Ah-Chen.
Yeah, I think this is what Twisted Mind really wanted. If I'm looking at Shingo's spot, he probably has the worst spot currently in the lobby. He's very far away from Jin 3, and you can kind of tell that he's just sacking for the team at this point. He's holding a lot of the GP stabilization and also holding Iron Bog's Kai'Sa's as well. I think he understands that it's just not possible for him to continue on much more in this game.
And now in the PvP phase, I think it's important to state, sometimes it is correct for one of your teammates to eliminate you in Stage 4, in Stage 5. If keeping you with life has less value than keeping a better or a stronger teammate healthy for the final race when it comes to the top 4, when it comes to that 4th or 5th place position. We've seen sometimes eliminations happen where you think it's a mistake, that you didn't remove items or you didn't waste one of the movers for that life save, but sometimes it can be correct.
Yeah, I think a lot of situations, like Twisted Mind should not try to grief for Shinga, because there's just no cap left into this composition, so that's also another consideration. Yeah, he's just straight leveling, trying to tempo this out. This was what Dank Memes did so well yesterday as well, but I think the key thing is it just missed out on the Jin 2. Rolling to 10, not hitting Jin 2, that just closes your options.
Puts you far behind on making to 8, on trying to play for that tempo with Boulevard 2. If you get an early and a high roll down, you can go past 9, for example, and play for the real cap with the TFs, with the Lee Sins, with the Brahms as well.
And the culprit is sitting, in the opposite side of the screen there. It was that Haruru Recombab into Jin 2 that did lower the chances here. Oh, we do have Serious Slam into the backline. If he hits the right target, this could be it for Ah-Chen.
Stuck on the Malphite for now, buying so much time. Samira is trying to help, but Volibear is being taken down. Samira's all by herself, and Rise with the water gun is not going to be impactful enough to win that fight.
Oh, that was so very close. Sometimes if you manage to trap the pathway towards the main tank, you can get that Serious Slam directly into the backline. Didn't happen right there. And as we were seeing, Xungga, as we expected, is going to go into the bottom. But K-Balbal also takes a big loss. 2
losses now. He was at 26 HP, has now dropped down to just 2. Might need to have a lifesaver thrown at him from his team as well. This is where it matters most. This is where trying to index into saving your teammate is so impactful. From going from an 8th to a 6th, for example, can be game-winning when it comes to the total addition of the points.
Yeah, 2 points could mean everything here. If you get that 6th place, it could mean that you're forcing an opponent to go 1-3. It just opens up so many more avenues. So we do have Twisted Minds on the right side, and the more important fight on the left side between K-Balbal and Xungga. K-Balbal with that Radiant Item Karma too, I do think is favored in this matchup, and we just see the discs of death flowing through the composition.
A clean wipe. No declaw on the Mundo makes that fight very easy for K-Balbal. On the flip side, Katarina items were removed, and it's still a fairly close fight. This Malphite's almost going down to the Yuumi, so I think it really goes to show that Ahao is just that much stronger than his teammate coming into this Stage 5.
So unless Ironbog took a massive loss, it should be Xungga going 8th place. And yes, we do get the confirmation here. That means that most likely for Twisted Mind, if it's just a bottom 2, top 2 kind of situation, they do have to play for the win out. So that's going to be the most critical part for them going forward. And the rest of Ahao and Flancy have enough HP, I think, to avoid just getting blown out.
The big question is, where can Haru cap with his Volibear board? Can he cap any higher than just his fast A comp with Volibear with Samira? Has he done his job already? And also, YYDM, he's free falling. 100 HP now all the way down to 44.
Ooh, that is very surprising. Now, he did have a lobby leading 30 plus HP coming into Stage 4, so I think there might have been a couple of games where he was just like, okay, I'll let you get the HP, like a fight we've seen right here. YYDM basically trading places with K-Balbal. Ah-Chen finding another win and another round to power up that Twisted Fate.
It must have been also Flancy allowing his teammate to get the win there. There is a TF on the carousel, and of course, we have our crew player at the very bottom of the standings since the very beginning of the game. Haruru can deny, can also pick up a Sterax for his melee-based comp. And
I wonder if someone takes away that Executioner +1 for Ahao A, I think Ironbach has to do it. Yeah. So he can't use it on his composition, but he's not going to allow Ahao A to put that onto the Yuumi.
Could have maybe stutter step there because it looks like the opposing team from Twisted Minds would have tried to get it anyway, kind of trick him into getting it in the end, but no. Ironbog ends up being the defender.
Yeah, Ahao is already the lobby leader, so he doesn't get to decide, but you can do what you were just mentioning. Have your teammates kind of mess up their minds a little bit, get something twisted minds.
We're seeing now the final roll down. Still an itemless Gwen 1 for Kebabao here. Maybe part of why he hasn't... Oh, no, he just removed for that last fight, I assume. It will be the Void Staff, the blue buff, and just a singular bow for now. Does have anti-heal on the Swain with the Sunfire Cape.
And I think the big thing for Flash Wolves is who can take out Achen. Taking out Achen in bot 4 removes a win-out player on the opponent's side. And I haven't seen a board that can really do it right now. None of these boards have that type of a cap to go through the Malphite. Oh, but he's running into a teammate right now. Oh, it's Ironbach, sorry. It's
Ironbach versus Achen. There's going to be a team kill on the left side. Hopefully not very big damage, but it will be a lot of units to the left alive there for Achen. We're seeing the crew units trying to win this one. Kaisa has one more cast in her. Does she win the fight? No, just barely loses to the last Sivir cast.
And there's really tough losses coming in from Haruru.
Look at the HP totals, they're so close.
And suddenly the tables might have turned. Achen's already out of danger so far, and we have 2 Flash Wolves members in the bottom 4. If they both go out, it could still end up as a blowout win for Twisted Minds.
Baba without the Gwen too. He is level 9. He does have a Braum online already. He does have the chance to just find a few more shops, get the gold from the next PvE round, and then really hit that stride and potentially play for first place. But this matchup now is so important where he does not have those upgrades just yet, and he is facing off against Flancy, the Sork mirror on the left side.
Really good jump by the Jarvan straight off the bat here. I think that was Mana Rush, so he gets the 1.5 second off the bat and is able to take out the backline plus Gwen earlier. But Swain 2, oh, no damage left.
The chip damage coming onto the backline of the Karma, and Swain left alive all by herself. Kaisa needs to get the smallest of wins, if possible, against YYDM, and she does. So really big from Flash Wolves to have both of these players stay alive in that 1v1 matchup. Achen is out as well. If Flancy is sent into this bottom 4, that will be yet again another wrap for Flash Wolves taking this game 1.
So based on the fights, Achen actually got knocked out by Ahao A. Might have happened to a teammate. It's very hard to prevent just because Katarina can go into your backline. That's one of the worst matchups for the crew, but very unfortunate for Twisted Mind. That had to be in team kill.
In the best case scenario, Twisted Minds will need a 1 and 3 to win this match. If Flancy doesn't go out, of course, in this next round, that would just end it on the spot.
Yep, Flancy needs to make it to 3rd place at the very least right here. Jarvan 2 already being found. And I believe it was Mana Rush plus Efficient as the power-ups coming in for K-Baba.
And that is best in slot power-ups. Very rare to find Mana Rush on Jarvan. Only offered on 2 units in this set, on Zyra and on Jarvan. And incredibly strong. You start with full mana, so you immediately get a cast. You have a much higher chance of getting the second cast as well, with everyone being stunned for those first few seconds.
Yeah, what an amazing find. I wonder if he did tailor for that. Now he's going to run into his teammate. So this will be a team kill on the side of Flash Wolves. Meanwhile, we'll see if Flancy can stay alive here. Ironbach does hit the Kaisa 3.
Ironbog has to be the hero for Flash Wolves here. If he takes down Flancy, that is a game 1 win for Flash Wolves. Kaisa has one more cast in her, as does the last unit, but it's going to be Ironbog taking the win against Flancy there. An elimination here as well, which is the bigger loss.
And it is going to be Flancy going into the bottom 4. That is the blowout win coming in for Flash Wolves. Not really a blowout, it was extremely close until the very end, but just going by the definitions, that execution emblem actually made the difference right there. The extra damage for Akali was enough.
And it comes down to just one-upping your mirror match, and that's both of the Sorg players stabilizing Flancy and Kebaba with different HP totals coming into stage 4, but in the end, Kebaba just barely able to outplace Flancy in that Sorg 1v1, end up in the top 4, and secure the win for Flash Wolves. With 4 of their players in this top 4, YYDM was that tempo leader in the early game, 13 win streak to preserve so much total team HP, as a whole, and K-Bao was that comeback player coming back from 26 HP to that top 4.
Really well played by Flash Wolves. We're talking about just how teams kind of adapt to the GP3 in a team leader situation. And what I think was really cool about this game was not only YYDM lending so much HP to the rest of the team, but also Haruru giving up his spot for K-Bao. K-Bao full loss streak. There's limited compositions that can stabilize you. He had the Jarvan and the Karma, and he said, no, I'm going to recombobb into something else.
And Haruru having to play essentially the content game, the streamer game of recombobbing and of trying to flex around the 5+ you're given, of thinking he's playing into Juggernaut, then looking into playing into Volibear, into Samira, and just trying to make it work, playing kind of the X Factor line. But I think the big star of the show has to be Ironbog. Kai'Sa reroll, a comp we don't see played every game, a comp we don't see performing to such a high level in the top 2 here in Game 1.
Yeah, and he didn't get Knuckle Dusters necessarily, but that was still a very scary Vi rushing across the map. We saw it was going, just from point to point, killing carries. He, of course, got it naturally with the Caretaker, so he had a very stable front line, and the Akali positioning at the end, that was what sealed the deal. If it was just front to back, I truly believe that Flancy would have taken that fight. But no, the extra Executioner emblem he denied, going up into it, doing a ton of work, just getting that damage threshold to secure the win.
Surely the Vi cannot 1v1 a Katarina and a Rakan 3. That would be absolute insanity. Maybe this is the new line to play on ladder, but it will be a loss there. Ahau, the dominant player in this game. Not enough, though, for his team. He was just 2 alone in this top 4. A strong initial showing from Flash Wolves in this series.
And I feel like Flash Wolves has just grown so much in the past 2 days. They were really in control in this game, in the driver's seat, mainly because of the GP. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That definitely was a thing. But think about how high roll Twisted Minds had to get to this spot. They had to have 2 max caps to get their 3 stars. Without that max cap, I think Ahau dies almost instantly. The other thing was Achen actually getting the 1% Twisted Fate into the Ziggs 3 and still not being able to stabilize, actually getting team killed right there. Very unfortunate.
Chen really clutched as well, though. In all of Stage 4, he was able to survive on just that 1 HP. A lot of great communication between the teams to weaken themselves, to remove items off Katarina, to allow him to continue scaling the crew and continue getting more reward from TF to try and maybe become that win-out player, as I said. But we'll hear more of an in-depth breakdown from our analyst desk now. Take it away, guys.
We will indeed. Welcome to the analyst desk. Flash Wolves here, starting things off very strong against Twisted Minds. Coupe, we said this was going to be a very close game. We were going to expect a lot of different things from both of these teams, and they're so far living up to the expectation.
Yeah, 100%. It was all decided in 1 round, actually. 6-1, 4 players with only 1 digit of HP. And the name of the game was the game plan once again for YYDM. Very, very early into the game. Pushing tempo vibes, if you will, and then he was able to give HP. We didn't saw it in the transmission, but I'm pretty sure he was just able to give HP to the rest of the lobby, and then in the end, that was worth it. 3 players of Twisted Minds in the bottom 5, so good win from Flash Wolves.
Absolutely, but let's break down YYDM's spot, why it was so good in the first play. Full upgraded board with GP, picking up the duplicators. And after the cracks, he had 3 duplicators, GP2, just waiting for the roll down, and pretty much hitting it effortlessly. What's interesting, Achen had a really good spot to play GP. He had 2 GP already at the cracks, optional, and he opted to play Steel Crew while having really good items. So he could have made Eon Rageblade and the Kraken, and he opted to go for reroll. Without max cap, he's guaranteed AF this spot. So just because the YYDM had such a good spot for GP, I think the Twisted Mind were scared to contest, and I think it was incorrect. You just contest there, and given you have already 2 GPs, you would be way better off playing GP2 and just into tempo than trying to play crew from not really good augments this game.
Yeah, also I want to recognize Ironbog. He tried to go for the Kai'Sa and he didn't find it early. He was being griefed very heavily from Twisted Mind, and that was the plan. They tried to take Ironbog out, tried to take him 7th or 8th, but no, he got 2nd. And a late Kai'Sa 3 was able for him to surpass the time. Once again, just good gameplay from Flash Wolf. Twisted Mind has a good plan. The strategy is there. You need a little luck. You need to avoid that GP2 early for the enemy team. But for sure, it's a close series, Ginny. We saw it already. This is the rematch. So I really think it will be even closer. So still, my prediction is a 2-1.
Okay, I like how you're sticking to your prediction. And I mean, at the end of the day as well for Flash Wolves here, they are coming off hot from yesterday's win as well. They have that confidence coming through after crushing a key. They're now here on this first game. So for Twisted Minds, if we were looking at it from this perspective here, Alan, it's the fact that they have now lost 3 games in a row. So for me, I am also a little bit worried of like how are they gonna bounce back from that?
Oh, I'm all down. Mental go on, mental boom to Flash Wolves go.
Oh, okay. I mean, you know what? For Flash Wolves side of things, they should be very proud of themselves that they're able to get this lead on. But something that we've seen today as well, Hupe, from every single one of the series so far is that even though that first game might not necessarily go the way of the team that, you know, they're still bringing it back. We've seen 3-match series every single time today. I think a lot is on the line and the players are fully aware of that. So as you touch upon, the strategy is already there. It's maybe like a little bit of a tweaking of components, maybe left, right, maybe center, however that might be, and then hit the second match very convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, the second win-out condition, getting that first place was accomplished. So Ahau playing the Katarina, that is normally not the best possibility because it's actually different. It's being Griff, same as the Kaisa. So 2-star, 2-cost, 3-star are the one accomplished. So Ahau is the win-out player here. You could have another one, but once again, you said it in the previous game, Alan, you need 2 win conditions. So this is the first one. Now you need to have the other one, and the other one normally is an X factor.
The fact that Ahau hit their max cap while YYDM was holding 7 Katarinas is so crucial. Like both Twisted Mind players, Ahau and Achen, without max cap there, are just going dead last. And it was such a bailout on the Prismatic argument being a 50-50% chance essentially, a bit lower, 40% there roughly, was crucial.
We also have a little bit of a Twitter update because we have some kind words. So we're going to have a look at to what's been said on social media when it comes to TFT at EWC.
Socials, 4v4 TFT is the best. Thoughts and feelings here, Cass?
Thoughts and feelings, yeah, of course. I mean, 4v4 is the best. I can somewhat agree. I think I'm a bit biased towards team games. I mean, my professional career was in a team game as well, so I think I really like that camaraderie, that teamwork that comes with it, so it does kind of get a little bit of an edge for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. Pro players love the format, and even normally you're very individual in normal TFT, but now there's a lot of group story, and that's the best way to perform. And if you have a group story, and then you're able actually to play with them and enjoy the game, I think it has to be one of the best formats. If not the best, we have to give it a little time there.
I think it's cool too because it like mitigates your bad variance as well because you also have your teammates. So if your variance is bad, like maybe your teammates will have good variance and it kind of gets to average out where it becomes a little bit more skill testing, especially because it adds a couple other skill testing things like sacrificing for your opponents, weakening your board, and then also griefing units of the opposing players.
Yeah, we see in zero time. Sometimes you don't have to be the hero. You don't have to be a top 1 player. Even though you're helping, when you're helping the team, you are the hero. You're being the strategist. You're the one to talk. So I get the feeling, and I totally get with Milk. He's a yapper, but he's a hard yapper.
And it's a known opinion. Milk has been saying he loves 4v4. He doesn't even want to play non-4v4.
Auto-reclaim ambassador.
Yeah.
Okay, Hupe, I was expecting some Twitter screenshots, you know, shown to the camera where like, look what they are saying. But overall, it's been a positive sentiment around the 4v4 format that we're seeing here.
Yeah, especially from the players. Audience has been involved, but the audience is involved because the players love it. The players are saying this is the greatest format ever. Obviously, that's under discussion, but it has actually been a huge impact. Right now, for example, in Paris, in the TPO, that will be in December, Riot already announced that we also will have 4v4 on the second day.
Let's go!
So the format is going there, and obviously, it's getting great reception by players, by teams, and by audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the players enjoy it, casters enjoy it, viewers enjoy it, why not push the format further? Everyone loves it. There is a way more depth into it. And just seeing like also clubs jump in and support the scene is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and with that, we are heading into another match of TFT of the 4v4 format with Twisted Minds going up against Flash Wolves. But first, a little break, and then we'll be back.
All right, and Robin Songs tweeted 4-0, don't underestimate us advancing to the playoffs, right? And I mean, what do you think about this, Hupei? Don't underestimate us. They've shown it 4-0 in the group stages.
Yeah, we had them as underdogs, and they've been proving that they are amazing. So, I mean, Robin in his best form, being the veteran for the team, being amazing. That means playing good, being BM with the rest, like talking about the rest.
Yeah.
We have this coming, and then making it work, because that's the thing. You can maybe try to insult, or you can try to say anything, but then you have to put the pedal in the metal, and they actually did it.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, like, Dank Beams has been so good for the past few sets, so him coming together with a couple of veterans. Solus, new set. He's always a beast. You definitely can't underestimate Solus the second a set comes out. And I think, we saw a little bit in the global qualifiers how good Citadels could be, but maybe didn't expect them to be this good.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Experience now for gameplay, and for Robin, of course, the age. This is the veteran. This is our grandpa, if you will.
Grandpa
so,
Robin.
Yeah, we love Robin. We love Robin, and they're doing amazing. They haven't lost a series. They haven't lost a game. This is just too much, and the average placing is amazing. So I truly love them, and they could go all the way.
Yeah, what did he say in the interview? He's 59 years old, so I think he's the same age as the rest of his team combined.
59 years young is what I like to say.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the SNB Arena. Game 2 starting soon between Twisted Minds and Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves 1-0 up, a blowout win, although it was kind of close, but 3 players from Twisted Minds, from the CN team, went into that bottom 4. A heartbreak final fight there between the Sorg players that ended up with a K-Bao win and the 4th place. Nerves and jitters we're seeing there. A lot of pressure on both of these rosters to perform in this game 2.
There's so many players that have came back from long hiatuses in their careers to find that second win on the EWC stage, to find 4v4 and call it a new port of home. We had Shunga, who's honestly, after he won the championship in TOC, he was kind of like, I didn't find the same drive. He found it with 4v4. He's coming back with his teammates. Same thing with K-Bao, who has been one of our best players from the ancient days of the Southeast Asia region, finally being able to get a competitive experience here.
We will see if any GPs come to YYDM shops across this stage 1 especially. He's the player that had, of course, the most explosive start and middle part of the game in game 1. A 13 win streak, which is so important. We talk about probably the most important facet of 4v4 being HP preservation in stage 2 and 3. If you preserve HP or if you lose too much of it, it's what sets you up for your finale and your game plans in stage 4 and 5. And the 13 win streak is just so important to give your team breathing room.
Yeah, despite all the interesting things that did happen in the previous game, I think you can't ignore the elephant in the room. GP2 is just very difficult to play around in all circumstances. So if I'm Twisted Minds, I kind of just put the previous game in the book. I just say, you know what? These Flash Wolves guys, they're always lucky, but they can't keep getting away with it.
Game 2 is surely going to be one for the history books. We'll see now I believe it's going on to the kill for now, the fruit. Yeah, just testing to see if you get one of the very strong ones, if you want to maybe play for kill reroll. Doesn't hit a strong one, doesn't hit any kills in the shop, going to sell the kill instead. Maybe do the same thing now on the Syndras. If you find a Syndra 2 with Rising Chaos, can be incredibly strong for an AP start. We saw the Swain as well early.
Yeah, a lot of people do like tailoring for the Syndra. You drop your fruit on the Ezreal, throw it away, and then you put it on the Syndra for Rising Chaos and Heart of Gold. Those 2 ones are just very easy to play around. Heart of Gold is my personal favorite. You can just straight level, and it's kind of for free if you're in that line. Clancy is going to find himself some additional interest just to start off. Does look like perhaps 2 components. And we are going into a triple gold encounter, so there will not be too many crazy variants coming, at least from the augments.
Pyromaniac can be a strong option here with a red buff, just using so many different comps to great effect. Protector Crest, an interesting option. I know it's pretty strong on Leona, but definitely only if you get it, I think, kind of for free, not from a 2-1 augment pickup in terms of direction. Stars Are Born, though, a very different story. This is a strong setup for rerolls, as is the treasure hunt that we see picked up there by Shunga. Incredibly strong lines to play for.
Yeah, you almost automatically consider that a win-out position.
Ooh,
and
Flancy with the Deathblade augment, Deadlier Blades I think it's called, where you get the extra AD off of takedowns. Very strong for just AD reroll lines, I imagine. Kai'Sa, for example, double scaling with both her kit and the augment.
I think we're being set up for a very fast tempo game right here. There's a lot of rerolls. Stars Are Born also coming in from Flashwolf's side. So a lot of additional power. And we're going to take a look what Flancy is angling for. We have not seen anyone play the Xayah so far, so I do have to assume it will be going into the Jhin line. But you can still keep the stacks just playing with this carry.
That's right. Important to know for our viewers at home, these stacks are on the Deathblade itself, only on that exact copy of the Deathblade you have. If you get a different Deathblade, you have to restack it, get kills again. If you somehow disassemble this Deathblade with Salvage Bin, the stacks are gone, so definitely do not do that, please.
Yes, that's an important thing to remember. Same thing with power-ups. Actually, all of the stacking power-ups do transfer between champions, but you would have to be very, very lucky to re-roll them.
Strong frontline setup for Haru here with a good amount of DPS from the Ahri. Single target, early game, there's not many units on the board, so she definitely does a very good job. It's where the late game where she kind of falls off when there's 8, 9 units to chew through. Her one-hit wonders with her ability, not quite as impactful.
Yeah, this is a really nice board for early gold generation and tempo as well. Haru just trying to decide between the Mentor, additional tankiness, or does he want the Sork? Does look like he's going to end up just putting the Kabuko onto his board. I do think that's probably a better option given that he has 2 items onto the front line of Rel. And it is going to be Flash Wolves on Flash Wolves action. One of them will lose that 100 streak.
K-Baba potentially going to be the GP player in this game. I know he had 1 game of GP across the last 2 days, and he had a win, actually, so maybe has some positive reinforcement on going down this line. He is only sitting on a red buff, which does give you attack speed. Maybe not exactly best in slot for GP, though.
I just want to point out, this is money laundering between Flash Wolves players. So far, it's 6 gold generated in this one fight by executions and also just by the Mogul's Mail. So this is a cool thing about 4v4. You can actually try to set up these scenarios where the fights just go on very long.
Maybe remove items, get the DPS as low as possible, and just, if you're able to really, really read the board strength, you can get a perpetual loop going on for as long as the overtime takes you.
Kind of an interesting thing. I don't think it was intentional, but it was definitely kind of cool to see in that specific instance. Shunga most likely going to be a win-out player coming in for Twisted Mind. And this is the one thing that I think Twisted Mind has struggled with a lot, finding good win-out spots. It's best when it's on Shunga, because Shunga currently has been struggling the hardest this set and also in this tournament, and still in like a 6 AVP overall. So if he gets this boost of confidence, if he can drive home a win for Twisted Mind, it would be absolutely massive.
For now, Shunga not really committed to anything, hasn't slammed a single item just yet. With Treasure Hunt, you can play pretty much any reroll and find success. We've seen it work out with the crew, Katarina, of course. We'll see what line he goes for. He is holding, of course, some of the Battle Academy units on his bench, so potentially Katarina is the angle with a Crit Glove pickup on this next carousel, for example.
Yeah, with Treasure Hunt, there are certain playstyles where you don't actually even go for the reroll line. You do stack up those treasure chests into the later phases, but if you want to play on tempo, then it is advised.
There's a Katarina on the carousel as well as a Gangplank. So some of our reroll players, some key hits here, maybe even the Kai'Sa, right? Maybe some more prio between these two teams with how well Ironbog was able to navigate that Vi Kai'Sa duo to the top 2 last game.
Second place was absolutely huge for him. Ironbog with the hefty rolls is already coming in towards the reroll, and it looks like he will be taking over the crew spot.
Yeah, it's a very strong setup for the crew. We talked about it. Certain comps like the crew, you can't just play straight up on 2-1 any game you want. You can't force it. The stats in the ladder meta are not very good. But when certain conditions are met from certain augment starts, Hefty Rolls being one of them, it suddenly jumps up to an A tier, maybe even an S+ tier comp with how much synergy it has with Hefty Rolls and augment.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see between Shunga and Ironbog who does end up on that crew line. Both of them are still holding the crew units. Obviously, Ironbog a little bit more dedicated to the line so far. But Shunga with treasure hunts, he could try to crash the party right there. We'll see how these shops end up for both of these players. Ironbog, 40 gold, just trying to get that hefty roll econ up so he can transfer it into combat power later on. And it does look like, yeah, he's just showing his cards right now. He's like, I'm not moving off this spot.
And it's especially impactful on Malphite because you get all the extra armor from his passive, from the items you equip, and then you have the extra HP to make it essentially more EHP as a whole when it comes to Malphite tanking and buying so much time for the crew ship damage to just take over in the late game. And you're just rolling so much anyway, right? You have all the crew rolls once you hit your first 3-star. It just works oh so well.
Ooh, and we're here to see who can challenge perhaps K-Balbao's full win streak. He usually has been the full loss streak player for Flash Wolves coming into this one, but finding himself a good tempo play here, additional items in a low component lobby, was able to do that for him. But
it's surprising. It doesn't look that strong before, no? It's like a red buff Lucian.
I was very taken aback like how easy he's been able to cruise to a 4-win streak.
And also has already used a remover, right? Which are premium in 44 especially to take the red buff off of the Gangplank and onto the Lucian. Unless you maybe sold a Gangplank, but I really doubt that in this day and age.
Yeah. So it does look like he's going up against YYDM unitemized. Should be able to win this one unless we get some lucky rolls from that GP coming in.
Already adding a belt onto the Lucian, knowing that this might be a close fight, but it looks like it should be a wrap here. One last cast from the Lucian, takes on the Senna. A 5-win streak from K-Balbao. It's not YYDM in this case, being the one to preserve a lot of HP, but it is Flash Wolves as a whole in this game too as well.
Yep. Meanwhile, in the bottom end of the lobby, Achin and Ironbog, the two lose streakers here, being able to preserve their streaks, great for their econ. Oh, just as I spoke, the HUD updated, and Achin actually breaking his streak, so that was pretty unfortunate. Ironbog laughing here, so perhaps it was Ironbog, the one that took that streak away. Now he's going to start his roll down for the crew units. Does find 2 Sivers right off the bat.
6 Malphites as well, so we've seen some crew spots where they have 1 Siver and they have a couple Malphites. This is looking much, much better after just a small roll on level 4, potentially being able to go back up to above 50 gold we're seeing here.
Just seeing to find if he can hit Gwinsu's Rage Blade, perhaps the best item for this composition. You can use it on so many different carries here. Streaking situation, I would say this stage should definitely more a bit in Flash Wolves' favor, but there's a lot of players where we don't know where they're actually landing with the compositions.
And Ironbog, does he have a predisposition in individual TFT to, is he known as a reroll player? I know he's a very good fast 8 creative player. Did he ever have kind of a predilection for reroll as well?
The only reroll he really enjoyed was actually the Nitro Flex reroll, and I'm not sure how rerolly that actually is.
That's reroll plus, basically, with some extra flexibility.
So he's not known for a reroller, to be honest, and he's known for fielding all of his forecasts.
Yeah, basically Bintum, similar playstyle.
Yeah.
Well, he's a reroll player in this series. Had a great top 2 with Kaisa Vi. Last game is now going to be the crew player trying to potentially turn this win streak around, or this lose streak around somewhere in the stage 3 and scale alongside the hefty rolls. We'll see what the next augment coming up is going to be on 3-2, because it could be so impactful to fill in some of these game plans that are already very structured. They're not flexible. They're pretty much locked in from 2-1 onwards.
Yep, we are seeing some of the dedication come out. Shringa is going to land up on the GP spot with Treasure Hunt. He is going to be the win-out player, designated, already all eyes locked in on him. So that's good news, at least there's some direction there. Also, good finds on Ironbog, and he was able to hit the Gwinsus like we were talking about, probably the most critical item. Here comes the big roll down.
Portable Forge was an option for Flancy with the Mundo Jin reroll, which I'm surprised he didn't go for. Maybe too much of a gamble. Instead, goes for the magic roll, finds units that are not quite able to fit his comp. The Caitlyn does actually with the snipers. Maybe a little bit of a damage boost alongside that Jin 1 for now. Surprised he didn't go for Portable Forge. No, there are some very strong hits from Mundo especially.
Yeah.
Maybe too much of a gamble, really. With
Both
those
of
four
the
options.
players from Twisted Mind actually avoided a portable forge, which I thought was slightly surprising. We're having big roll downs here. No GP2, sorry, GP2 found on Shinga. You guys probably know what I'm using for my browser. The other hand, Flancy does manage to find the Jin in the final roll here. So a little bit of a under roll, I would say, coming from Shinga. You definitely expect to hit one, but he does have the keepers for that, so I still expect him to be able to streak out on stage 3.
A lot of that is also holding on units on his bench, right? He has a 2-star Malphite, 2-star Sivir, trying to deny Iron Bog from hitting his 3 stars early. He has 2 copies of Yasuo and Udyr, which are expensive. And this is one of the biggest skill tests when it comes to this comp, is how to balance out how many copies you're holding of your other mentors before you find the rise.
Oh, and Ahoe also very well established right here, coming in with the Yuumi. As we've seen, he had extra EXP on stage 2 to work around with. So we are getting a much clearer picture across the board where all these players are going to land up. K-Ball, as always, flexing for Sorks. I think he's pretty much the Salvi of APAC, can we call him that?
Yeah, I think he's starting to earn that title, has a JG, has the Striker's Flail, and has a sword open as well, so really going to be trying to hunt for a tier on this next carousel. He is last pick, so I mean, Twisted Minds, if they are as wide awake as they should be in an elimination match like this, they should be denying any tier, and they have to hope that the Wolves PvE round does not give that tier for the Shojin for K-Bao.
Yeah, the pressure is on. This could be the last match for them in EWC. It feels so weird to say that because Twisted Mind has been so dominant in a lot of the scrimmings that we see in the CN scene. But everything comes down to this matchup here. K-Ball still with a 7-win streak, and it looks like it will continue against Achen. This is the board that we haven't seen from Twisted Mind, is looking like he might be forced to contest a Sork spot from a rather disadvantaged position.
Yep, has picked up Epoch. This is the difficult position to play Sork from, and we've seen it time and time again. There is that one player that is thrown to the Wolves, and they basically tell him, hey, roll down and hope you stabilize because we're going to need your help in stage 4 and 5. For now, a non-factor, just free-falling in HP down to 47 now. And that roll down with the Epoch rolls could be the help he needs to get there.
Yeah, definitely needs to save those up. I expect that he's going to, just hoard those until level 8 coming into it. Coming into this carousel, there's no critical forecast right here, at least for our compositions. Maybe the Jinx is useful for someone like Flancy that's going to Juggernaut snipers, but otherwise it's quite tame.
Eyes on the tier that is open here. Does Twisted Minds let it slip? No, Flancy's on top of things, picks it up on this Nico as well, and denies that Shojin slam for K-Bao as the current HP leader coming into the almost stage 4.
Yeah, great call out right there. He needs 2 tiers to finish off his composition, still with the Void Staff and the Shojin open there. And Achen, this is the board that we're most worried about for Twisted Minds. He has 0 upgrades across his entire board, going straight to level 7 in a very weak position coming into this.
This is for me the hardest games of TFT to play. When you have no resource, no power stage 2 and 3, you're going fast 8, but you're really at the mercy of your roll down. Of course, a skilled player like Achen, the I think factor that really helps him out is that he is able to roll down and make a much stronger board than I would in terms of his flexibility and his understanding of unit synergy outside of the cookie cutter short comp. So we'll see what other frontliners he holds on that roll down and what kind of comp he's able to assemble once it all comes through.
Yeah, and the tough thing for him is, if you look at the econ, he's not really even ahead of K-Ball. K-Ball with the full win streak, and I believe Midas touch on the Lucian as well, was able to farm up, and the EXP bar, he's even ahead of Achen. So if we're just going, 50-50, then you do expect K-Ball to actually win out on the roll down.
Maybe even K-Baba, maybe both players have to roll in 4-1, but it is one thing to consider when there's 2 players playing for the same comp, the same forecast. If one player has an econ lane, he can roll in 4-1. If he somehow hits all of his karmas, he can tell the rest of his team, hey, everyone hold karmas on 4-2, and this could really throw a wrench in the plans of the kind of loose streaking or the player that is kind of not really high rolling much when it comes to his econ.
Yeah, it does have that rich get richer situation when you have teammates to play along with. You've hit already, then you can just play full denial. The good news is that even though Achen is in a very tough position, I do expect Shinga to still be able to carry out onto the win out spot. Treasure Hunt is just that powerful. It is a prismatic augment in disguise.
It is once again at the end of the stage, K-Bao versus his teammate, YYDM. This could be another 10 win streak for Flash Wolves in this game too. We saw it from YYDM last game. We could see it this game from K-Bao. So important for all the extra gold he's been able to accrue from this win streak itself.
I wonder if they did coordinate for this to happen, but it looks like K-Bao's board is just strong enough to power through regardless. And yeah, gets it without even proccing the round 2 on that Udyr. So once again, this is just, strategically very advantageous for Flash Wolves because they can then borrow so much HP to the rest of the team. Now is going to be the time where we have the 10-win streaker roll down versus the 5-loss streaker roll down coming into this.
And weirdly enough, Chen can't really start rolling on creep because he has to wait for the econ or XP to come through at the start of the stage. He doesn't want to he wants to min-max every single bit of gold he has. So he is forced into, we're seeing it here, very high APM. We saw from Salvi in this position where you almost always roll on 8 down to 30 gold to buy yourself enough time to do everything on 4-1. Chen is forced to min-max his augments and do it all on 4-1 instead.
Yeah, this is going to be the critical round for both of these players. How fast can they roll down? When can they hit those karmas and stabilize right here? This is the story of EWC coming in for them, and it could all happen within this span of 50 seconds.
They're off to the races. Ready, set, go. Pump to 8 and start pressing D. Who can hit that Karma 2 first? Who can hit the front line to stabilize? Who can hit the Gwen high rolls especially? That's one of the big questions as well. A10 also has item component anvils to work with, so a lot of APM will be required here from A10, and we're not seeing much of anything yet. Has hit the Ahri upgrade. That can be the damage carrier for now, but no Karma whatsoever. Still so much to work through here for the board on A10. There is a Karma and a Gwen. Karma in the shop though, so stun lock for K-Bao as well. He might lose his win streak.
Yeah, I will say, unfortunately, that this is a really rough roll down when you look at A10. 3 critical units ahead on K-Bao's side. He hit the double Karma and also the Gwen, which makes sure that you can then sell the Ahri and get a little bit more gold to juice up on those roll downs. So this is, putting even more pressure on Shringa, I would say. Shringa with the treasure hunt, the win out augment, he really needs to get that first place right now. There is almost no alternative.
The round 2 so clutch here, buying time for the Lucian and the Ahri to clean up the Mundo to potentially win this fight, to continue the win streak, and now allow the breathing room for K-Bao to continue re-pivoting his board. Maybe this win streak will become a 13 or a 15 win streak like we saw last game.
Wow, such amazing spots coming in for the Flash Wolves players early on here. There's also a reinforcement. Oh, but he's on the 2 Karmas. He's not going to pivot into that. And this is where we see him clean up onto the board, go for the 3 mechs, and hopefully find the Karma. Wow, big finds here for his front line. Just missing that Karma.
Can't tell the Ahris, but it's the Karma anyway for the 6 Sorcerer. Has 6 more gold to work with.
Oh, I think he just puts his items back onto... Oh, okay. He swaps around the Lucians there.
Still doesn't have that last Shojin to complete the BIS on the Karma. We're seeing now the crew player, Ironbog, with all of those hefty rolls, has dropped down to 44 HP, but the crew usually stabilizes around this point once they're able to start hitting all of their 3 stars.
And it's very interesting. We see a reinforcement being taken by Ironbog, so I wonder what forecast he's going to play around. Maybe he's going to try to deny the rises from the pool, a very popular forecast that can also be used by the crew composition.
Very good win for K-Bao's win streak, and also just minimal damage being taken by Ironbog there as well. Could also be Leona as a Bastion. You deny the Yuumi player if there's no Yuumi player on Flash Wolves, for example. That could be a little way to make yourself tank here while also min-maxing the Grief game as well, which is so important in 4v4. There's the Leona. Ironbog's considering. Is that the option you want to take? Looks like it's not. Potentially, I think just the Yuumi player already has Leona too. He was probably scouting and then seeing, okay, never mind.
The Jarvan or the Ryze probably the most important ones. If he gets the Jarvan, A10 is just in such a bad spot.
Jarvan, especially because we already saw K-Bao hit his Jarvan on his 4-1 roll down, or 4-2.
So Aha right now carrying the HP lead.
YYDM, Sniper's Focus on the gangplank. We were talking about Portable Forge, how impactful it can be when you find the broken interactions between units and artifact. And this is one of them. So strong to get the stretchy arms gangplank going earlier than ever.
He's been heavily denied onto the Kabuko, and I think that's the big problem with his composition. He could stabilize on stage 4 with just GP2, but with how many Kabukos are out of the pool, that will become an issue. He's also free-falling. Achin finally getting some wins.
Yeah.
That's important.
Big stabilization. There is going to be a TF yet again on the stage 4 carousel for the crew player. And I believe Ironbog was first pick, yeah, alongside Achin. It is on his side as well, so yet again, the crew player is in some ways saved by a very early TF in stage 4.
Is that the way crew is having great AVPs? You just hit max cap, or you just get fed Twisted Fates? All right.
Looking at the boards here, we're seeing Leona 2, Yumi 2 from Ahau. So alongside Kebaba, the two strongest players in the lobby from separate teams, playing separate AP fast A-comps, with both players looking very, very strong.
Yeah, critically this game, none of the 2-cost rerollers have actually hit their main carries. So we're seeing a lot of HPs dip super fast in stage 4. This is the hold hands together strategy. Jin is being denied, Kabukos are being denied, and of
big
course
hits
the
here.
GPs.
3 off Ziggs, has hit the Shen now as well as a secondary tank. Still has reinforcement up, so essentially down an augment, which is why we're seeing Ironbog lose some of these fights.
Oh, and here's Shringa with his final board. He has used all of his treasure hunt. Let's see what he's able to find. A lot of times you do get artifacts or radiance coming in for it. The artifact is going to be for Kabuko in the front line. He's a Hull Crusher. And he's going up against Achin. He did not look like he weakened his board much at all. Achin might just be in free fall.
We'll see the GP3 with just 2 items is enough. The Ari is going to be better at bursting, but yeah, Ari's already down. GP is doing his thing, shooting his pirate gun, and Achin now down to just 1 life.
There was 2 Reforgers for Shringa
Removers.
here. Removers, sorry. But he didn't try to weaken the board, and I actually think that's correct. Achin's probably unsalvageable at this point.
Yeah, Karma 1 still. Look at Ironbog still 3 copies away from that Ziggs, which would be the big power strike, but TF now has found his way onto the board. We are level 7 now. We will try and stabilize off of this. Still down an augment, has not really been able to use that 4 cost at all, and with TF being found, there's not really a slot for that 4 cost either. I guess you can remove the Gnar if you find more frontline stability.
This is the critical fight. Who is going to take that 8th place? Achin is going to go up against YYDM. YYDM has a large part of his board missing, but does have that artifact. Oh, he's going to get the extra range now.
Swain's already down. The Gangplank's onto the Karma. The Karma's cast, but it's too late. It's a blowout win. Achin going to be taken down in 8th place. A low roll stage 2 and 3. Stabilized for a little bit, but then back-to-back losses to a teammate and now to a Sniper's Focus Gangplank. And Twisted Minds on the back foot in the series and also in this game too.
Yeah, if you take an 8th place, it puts a lot of extra pressure on Shringa to move ahead, but as we've seen from Shringa, I don't think his board is actually that strong. He was contested multi-way on the GP, and of course everybody was just holding away the units from him, and I don't think his artifact is going to make a huge amount of difference. I love this from Achin though. He knows he's down, but he's not out. This is what you should do in 4v4. If you get eliminated, start coordinating for the team.
Yep, you're essentially just a set of eyes on all of the opponent's boards. Every minute detail you have to cover. Itemization, what components to take away, what items are missing from their main carries, even just small positioning details. You have essentially a camera on all of your opponent's moves across the rest of this stage 5. That's the one little minor upside. Ahau, yet again, being the hero for this Twisted Minds team. Dominant with Katarina reroll last game, won that one, and now just in a dominant position. Goes level 9, 30, 40 gold to roll with. Can really try and cap out this Yumi board.
Unfortunately for the Yumi board, we haven't seen this be a first place board, so that onus for someone to win out has to still be on Shringa. It's very difficult to play around in this situation. Ahau has to lend his HP to Shringa, also needs to try and preserve that slimmer of hope for maybe the Yumi 3s or the Leona 3s to keep going.
Ironbog fighting off against Shunga, and Gangplank walks his way all the way up to Sivir, to one of the main carries on this crew board. No Sniper's Focus, no problem. 13 HP, that could be the last nail in the coffin here for Ironbog. A pivotal mistake we saw from Salvi in day number 1 of this tournament, playing Karma, and yet again here from the Sivir.
Yeah, it's very difficult for that board to kind of deal with the Katarinas and the GPs, and that's one of the reasons I think the crew has done worse in tournament than on ladder from what we've seen. Flancy, as we were talking about, likely not the win out spot as well, just being forced to roll super deep, no 3 stars upgrades onto his board.
I think floor sniper for now, with the Varus adding in some anti-heal, adding in the Wraith for the Jhin, but is it going to be enough? Down to 17 HP, so should be 2 lives in stage 5. It has to be kind of a giga loss to get taken down at this amount of HP.
Yeah, we're not really sure what Haruru has been playing, but Haru is still able to win on stage 5, so you kind of expect Clancy to be in the worst position and likely forcing Twisted Mind to get a 1-3 to move on.
Yeah, Ahau here, I think it's going to be a cleanup win on, or a cleanup win here for now, but oh, it is going to be an elimination. Oh. Onto Flans, he deals exactly 17 HP. That is a critical mistake, I have to assume, because he maybe had 1 more life in him, even if just to preserve some HP for a teammate, if not to get stronger himself.
Yeah, Ahau is 65 HP. You expect him to be willing to sack a little bit there?
Not even sack, but just make sure your board is not so strong that you're dealing 17 HP in stage 5. That is a huge loss for Flancy. Especially with the Zyra plant in that top right corner, it took away so much DPS from the Jhin across the first stage of that fight.
I have to feel that's a communication error coming in from Twisted Mind. The pressure is really mounting at this point. Xingge now also on 1 life. If he falls down here, that is the game. Items
have been removed now from Ahau, so is understanding that he has to weaken his board. He is way too strong for his teammates. He has to have some breathing room for Xingge. Haruru on the flip side, fighting off against the Sorg board. Can the Yuumi with the Gunblade heal back up? No, the Karma Disc comes through, and Haruru's also going to be taken down now for Flash Wolves.
So that does mean the blowout win situation is taken off the board. However, Xingge and Ahoe, they do have to go 1-3. And I think that's why Ahoe was only saving his removers for Xingge. He knows that Xingge is far more likely to get that 3rd place compared to Flancy's board.
Last few items coming through here. Not really the most pivotal of 5 costs. Leona 2 has already been hit long ago in terms of the 4 cost space as well.
I don't really think YYDM has much gas left into him. He's just been denied that GP3 for so long. YYDM likely taking a 4th, which means we will be seeing a 1v2 situation in most scenarios when it comes to the final 3 players. The critical thing, of course, here is for K-Baba. He's still streaking. He could just win the match here, or he could go level 9 for the Gwen 2.
If he faces Xingge, that could be it, right? Yeah. Because YYDM, if it isn't the strongest player now, he does still have 2 lives, 19 HP. I will, I think, take the risk and say it is going to be 2 lives in stage 5 still. It will be YYDM versus Xingge, so this could be it if somehow this sniper-focused Gangplank has enough damage, enough, just aura to kill off Xingge here.
Yeah, he will survive this fight regardless, but I do think that YYDM is kind of destined to go into the 4th place here. He's just missing so many upgrades compared to Xingge, and of course the treasure hunt is such a massive power boost to this comp.
And there was a loss from K-Baba as well, so it looks like maybe he is starting to meet his maker in terms of who is the strongest player in this lobby. It could be Ahau at this point in time. You mentioned there's not really a way to cap Yuumi as hard. I think part of that is Seraphine not really being the strongest unit right now as a 5 cost.
Is she a 5 cost?
She is a bit of a trait bot, unfortunately, mostly just used for reaching that 5 prodigy, which helps so much with the healing on Leona. Maybe a Braum 2 could be that missing piece of the puzzle.
And this is the critical fight for Xingge. He does have his Kabuko right in front of the Karma, which means that the Sork burst damage is not going to proc too early, but a lot of needles into that backline.
And Karma maybe onto the GP and the Kabuko here as well. GP taking chip damage. The Eon could proc early. Karma might be able to kill the GP if she casts one more time, but she doesn't. A clean up win, a dominant win by Xingge, and also a dominant win by Ahau, with GP being taken down by the Leona. And that is going to be just K-Bao versus the world now.
It is a 2v1, but I do want to point out K-Bao's gold count. He's still sitting on a pile of gold, so the Gwen 2 is going to be very difficult to deny from him. We're looking across Xingge. He doesn't have the levels necessarily to not deny. So it's going to come down to the Gwen if he can hit by himself. Taking a look at the upgrades here, there's still a Sky Piercer on K-Balba, so let's see if he can find a Shred item. If he does get a Shred item, he can get another huge power boost coming from the power-ups.
We'd be looking at something like Efficient, something like Shadow Clone, for example, onto this Karma as just the highest DPS increases. Once you have that Shred online, it could be Ionic Spark onto the Jarvan, it could be a potential Void Staff onto a Lux, for example.
Very similar thing happening here. There is no Shred coming onto this composition and wasn't able to find it. Great defensive move by Ahao here. There are now 5 Gwens out of the pool.
We're seeing the max cap is just the addition of Seraphine onto that board from Aha. We're seeing the last options here. No Shred, unfortunately, so Skypiercer will probably remain for the Karma. K-Bao up against Ahao's real board. We'll see as a good test now of who potentially could be one of the stronger players in this lobby. Whoever wins this lobby essentially will be winning the game for their team. Gwen up very close to the Yuumi. Is Gwen gonna able to take down the Yuumi? She does, and looks like Sork has a much higher cap than Ahao.
Yeah, in the meantime, it looks like the hopes will have to be on Shinga. The treasure hunt player coming back. He's had a pretty abysmal tournament so far, just averaging a 6.4 on the AVP. But this is his chance to redeem himself, take Twisted Minds into a game 3.
What's the addition here for Hibaba on level 10? Is it just the Zyra, you assume? Is he going 10? That's the bigger question.
I think Gwen 2 spikes even harder than the Zyra, so I assume he will...
And he can roll for Braum 2 as well.
Yeah.
Just really trying to bide his time. He understands that all that matters is him winning this game, so he really has to take it down to, maybe not his last life, but his last 2 lives, because there is some space to move around for fight RNG as well.
Just moving on to, this could be a pretty big difference maker. He's actually starting on the weaker side of Shinga, last minute swap, and we know that Sork damage coming through is critical.
A lot of burst. GP, Eon has proc. He's almost been taken down. Is he able to clutch it? No. The win comes out from Karma. Gwen
out.
Putting so much work in as well. It's now down to the 2 fast 8 players. Ahao has to now beat K-Bao 3 times in a row. And that seems like a very hard task to accomplish. It is still possible, but talking about caps, we don't think Yuumi has a chance to beat out a Sork board, especially a Sork board that still has 50 gold to work with.
I got way too ahead of myself. In my head, I already was thinking Shuka has to win this because he has the higher cap, but you're right. They technically still have a chance to win.
It is a much harder task, though, with just this board from Ahao. We did think the higher cap was coming from Shunga.
Ooh, that was unfortunate. Last second swap from K-Baba really working out right there. And we saw the follow by Shinga. It didn't work out. He hull crushed right next to his unit and didn't get the extra HP.
And so smart from K-Baba to wait with his gold. He knows that there's no more that Ahao can do to really strengthen his board. We're going to see now the damage coming out from the Karma and the Gwen. This duo carry so bursty. Leona being thrown around by the Braum. Yuumi trying her absolute best, but there's so many units still to chew through. Does Yuumi cast one more time? She's trying, but she can't. Ahao taken down. K-Baba gets the win. A dominant victory here in Game 2 from Flash Wolves.
And what a way to play the game. K-Balbal just seems to be the kryptonite to Twisted Minds. So far in this series, there was 5 games played between it, and he's been in the final lobby in 4 games. Just such an incredible carry and showing flex play. Haruru as well, jubilated, just so happy. He is the eldest player in the TFT scene for SCA. You know, he's been in the scene forever, the most time streamed of this game of any player on this globe, finally getting to show his stuff on the EWC stage. I could not be more happy for this upset.
And back-to-back games where Flash Wolves is able to assemble a 12 win streak from one of their players, which the HP preservation aspect of the game mattered oh so much. In this case, it was K-Balbal taking that mantle from YYDM in that game 1. Strong performances, strong line selections, just clean play from Flash Wolves all throughout this series. A dominant 2-0 win over Twisted Minds.
I felt like they got lucky on day 1 versus Twisted Mind. Twisted Mind actually played the better series, but in this 2 days, they have grown so much. They have found their chemistry. And I also want to give a shout out to Alpha Chi, their coach. He is the best spot optimizer I've ever seen in terms of a player. And I think he helped the team so much, which is just making the early game stronger. We're here